Hi guys. Actually, it's weird. I haven't said this for such a long time because it felt awkward at some point, and I don't usually like to greet on a video. It felt weird. But yeah, today that is the thing. And actually, today is not Friday, which is usually supposed to be the rambling day. But I didn't have a review that I could make today because everything I have in for review is still in testing, so maybe in a day or two. And since I have 3 weeks off, which I'm definitely not using for a proper vacation and some kinda relaxing, since I'm making a video every day or at least two, I thought I would make this video. And I already on Tuesday have so many topics that I don't think I would fit them all in one rambling because it would be just way too big. And already talking about big, that leads me to my first topic. Rambling with or without a video, and you can let me know that, for example, in the comments or something else, if you want it with or without, because if it's especially something super long, people maybe like to see this more as a podcast, which in some way, I guess, due to the longer length, it will be, especially maybe in the future if I have more topics and so on. And since I don't want to kind of rush anything, really properly talk about everything that I want to talk. So since it's a 1 week only thing, or maybe two times a week thing, but some people also said me that they want the video because then they can see my reactions and so on. So that's something that you would have to decide and tell me. Maybe that's what you can do. Now, the next thing is actually about those ramblings, because I made a note: rambling only about me and my growth must be annoying, because that's something that I would like to know. Because some maybe of you like this kind of behind the scenes talk, the kind of talk about, if you are maybe a YouTuber yourself, me talking about my growth and how things expand, how things work, just things that are maybe more interesting for YouTubers, but maybe not so much for the tech enthusiasts who just want that. So that brings me to the next thing. Do you want me in these ramblings to talk about tech only, like tech news and tech opinions and so on? Which I will do if I have something, but I will also maybe like to kind of keep it mixed up. But what I could also maybe do is just make a behind the scene talk, so maybe split that up. So maybe a tech rambling at some point at the week, and maybe another, the typical stuff that I would like to talk about. Let me know that, because I'm twisted, because I like to talk about things that go behind the scenes, that depend on the YouTuber itself, like me, for example, in this case, what happens when I'm just not doing reviews, or how I review stuff and all that, because that's something that I would personally like to see from other YouTubers. And not that I'm kind of being an inspiration for them to do it, but just because I don't see anyone else doing it and I would like to see it. And if I can't get it, at least I want, maybe if someone else has the need as well, be the one that can give you that. But let me know, because Tech Talk, so many people are doing that already, and I usually need proper topics. And if I do that, what I did in the past in the ramblings, I noticed just one thing, that that I'm way too much checking the news for what I could talk on, and I didn't really enjoy news and so on anymore, or tech in its own. So that's why I kind of went away from that, and rather like to talk about just myself. But like I said, it must be annoying for you. So I guess that's why not many people are actually watching these, which is totally fine, because still more than enough with the great feedback and all that. But pretty much it kind of, at least seems to me by now, like everything I say, even though for me is a different topic, I always get the same nice comments, absolutely great feedback, because people say me, stay like you are, do what you do, and they're kind of comforting me, motivating me, not demotivating me. They are motivating me, and I appreciate it. But I guess if you do this too often, now it's, I think, the third proper rambling after a long time, it could be annoying. So maybe give me some feedback on that. Okay. Now, let's get to the first proper topics. My note says it's way harder without review units. I get that respect, because I've watched Easy, I guess you know, Easy Computer Solutions, his videos, his live streams a lot more recently, and also always the ones from J Will. Maybe I will link them down below just so you know what I'm talking about, because they do live streams quite often. They do kind of like weekly news, from example, J Will. And he talked about one thing in the last one, where I don't know what exactly the topic was again, but at some point my name came up, but also a few other ones. And he just talked about, and this is also considering the demonetization thing, I still have the issue, I have to say. Not that it's a big issue, because the videos that I get on would make like a buck anyway, so it doesn't matter. But it's annoying that you have to still do it, because just overnight I had 3 more. But getting back to the topic, he said, what if YouTube would kind of level the playground? If no one would get monetized, or if people would just get paid for, like, for example, 10, 15 bucks a video, and then the big YouTubers would definitely stop doing it, and the smaller YouTubers like me, Easy, all the other ones would still do it because they don't do it for the money anyways. They still have to pay for everything, and it's way harder for them. And I totally get it, but I also have to say one thing. The reason why I don't think that's the best idea is the following. The big YouTubers that make a lot of money on every single video, that easily pays up for what they spend on it, they also put in way more of their resources, which they got over time, of course, but they have way better gear, they have way better cameras, they have this nice animations and so on. And for a lot of people, this is the way to go for. This is what people want to see. After all, that's why they get so many views. Now, the smaller YouTubers, who most usually have quite low gear, maybe a decent cam, usually a lot of them I actually see even using phone cameras, and microphone isn't all that special. If that would be kind of the norm, I don't think so many people would watch reviews anymore, because not that I have anything against those reviews, and not that because I actually can't kind of properly even put myself in one of the, because I'm definitely not one of those high-end, high-quality YouTubers that has all this great gear, but I also think I'm a little bit, and this doesn't, I don't want to sound snobby, but I'm a little bit above that kind of grade of just using a phone camera and maybe a webcam or a cheap microphone. So I'm a little bit above that. Not that it really has an impact on the reviews quality, because I think and that's the important part, what it really comes down to is the content's quality. Not so much what you make in terms of video and also audio. That is important for sure, and it definitely would make a decent video better. But for a decent video in the first place, I think you need good quality information. At least that's what I would like to see. Personally, I have to say that a lot of big YouTubers, actually, it seems to me like they put more effort into video and audio, nice B-roll, nice voiceover in terms of sound, but it seems to me like they don't even put that much time into the actual reviewing. Of course, at some point you have the routines, you have the common things that you just need to test, and it becomes more of a routine. I totally get that, but some reviews to me seem too shallow, especially from the bigger ones, because they don't really have in some case, I think, like a personal use case that they are talking about. Because the thing is, and I completely lost the track. If they, for example, I always see the same thing that kind of annoys me a little bit by now, is they say the display is super nice, the sound is good, but they never really say why. They never say the display is good because of the color calibration, how's the white point, how's the black level, how is the contrast, how's the viewing angles, the sound, does it crackle, or what especially is good in that. We don't really hear this from them. They just say this is this, and to keep the review shorter, because most viewers have a short attention span, and that kind of is weird. So these kind of reviews that people like to watch because they're easy to watch, they're entertaining, I would think would slightly fade away. For example, Jay Will said someone like MKBHD would definitely keep doing this, and I totally agree, he would. Or maybe actually, yeah, in some way he would, but he also wouldn't, because the thing is also, what I've noticed that he pretty much has no sponsored content. He has no in-video ads, and he doesn't really do sponsored videos. The problem though is he only makes his money, since he has so many viewers, through YouTube. And I guess it pays out, and that's why he has no need for all the sponsors and so on. He makes good money off of YouTube, which is totally legit. But the problem is also, if he wouldn't have that, how else would he be able to keep up that standard? Because so many people always say he's bought it. I don't mean like now MKBHD, but this guy's bought it, this guy's bought. I actually have to say, I don't think it's really the case. I would just say that most reviewers are just too shallow, just out of own comfort. They don't wanna edge on one side or the other one, not to upset one or the other side of the fanboys or the haters and so on. They kind of stay in a neutral line. Now, the problem with the smaller YouTubers is that they, in some cases, and I would call myself that as well, just don't deliver the quality that most people want to see. Yes, the super hardcore nerds, the geeks that want some more in-depth information and rather therefore sacrifice like a proper presentation, I get that. Because I've talked about this on Twitter just a little bit, and I said for me, it's super hard. Did I put that somewhere? No. Oh yeah, actually it is. Let me put that a little bit higher on, because I said that for me it's way harder to get sponsors, and it actually sucks a little bit because I pretty much have no chance on getting sponsors for things like example the PC build I would like to make. But I also said that I get why my way of doing things is just not really appealing to people. It's just not marketable. So the return of investment for the brand, it just isn't there, because that is a little bit of another issue that I will talk a little bit about. But the problem for my channel usually is not the growth or anything like that. It's the views, and not the general views, because I've noticed with about 1.2 million views a month, I have actually more views per month than channels that are 4 or 5 times my size. But the problem is they release like maybe a fraction of my videos, because I only get a lot of views because I make a lot of videos. But what I don't get is views per video. That's my issue. I will talk a little bit about that later, but getting back to the thing. So these smaller YouTubers, they maybe don't offer quite the quality that brands would like to see. And they think if the bigger ones would be out of the way, that then, since they are the only ones that would still keep doing it because of the passion, they would get access to devices. And that could happen. I'm still not quite sure, because at some point I think the still established YouTubers, the bigger ones, would find a way to live off of YouTube even without the proper revenue. Because if I would get consistent $15 per video, let me think about it, I don't know if it would pay up, because the problem is there are so many videos where I make $1 or $2. And it's maybe like every 20th or 30th video that actually makes a little bit more money. So considering, let me quickly do the math. If I would release, let's say 40 videos a month, it's actually closer to 50, I would almost say, because let's say 40, let's stay safe with 40, and I would get $15. I would end up, with actually a little bit less than what I make of YouTube. So that would be actually worse for me, and of course for everyone else. For the small ones that don't make even that much, it would be nice for the small videos. It would be nice if you would get something like minimum 15, and if the video makes more, then it would definitely help me, because like I said, I just make, and actually it's not actually that thing. I thought about it, because if I would make 15, that would actually make more money, because the problem is 40 times 15. Why did I need a calculator for that? $600 a month. I make a little bit more by now by that, but the problem is I've just calculated with 40 videos a month, but I completely forgot my backlog, because there are some oldie videos, or just older videos like 4, 5, 6 months that make still money. But if I would say, let's take all the last 2 years and then give me 15 per video, I think I would be better off. So, but getting actually back to the main topic, it's way harder without reviews. I totally get that, and I'm in the super fortunate position, and I really know to appreciate that chance so much that I get review units, and I will get to where and how a little bit later on, because that's a topic as well. But for everyone who doesn't do that, I have to say, I could not respect you anymore. Like, for example, Mobile Geezer does, for example, My Project 13, Easy Computer Solutions, and Jay Will, because they pretty much pay for the way biggest part of all their devices, especially the big flagships, definitely hurt their pocket a lot. And I don't have to do this, which of course could be a little bit of some discussion topic as well. Are you a little bit more objective or free to say what you want if you pay for it on your own? Or am I a little bit distracted? Because for me, the thing is, I can, from my own good conscience, tell that it doesn't make a difference, because I get so many review units and no one ever told me what to say or what not to say. The only thing I was once told from one brand, that the title was a little bit not that great, but I didn't even change it afterwards, so that doesn't really matter, because I always said it. The moment one brand would say something, how I should change my style or what I should say or not, I would just say, okay, let's just forget it at this point. We don't need to further collaborate unless you agree to my terms. But so far this has never happened, because maybe it has something to do with the German, and why does it look like I have a scrub here? It's weird. And maybe it's the German way, because everyone is so professional here, and I also think I'm very fortunate in some way that no one actually of those press agencies or the brands really watch my videos. It barely ever happens. Like maybe Lenovo does it, and one or two more brands, but the rest I think never saw a video from me, because I've so many times already, for example, from Huawei's side, made a review of that device from Cyberport where I got it from, and then like months later I was asked from Huawei if I wanted to review it, and I thought, wait, I already had it, and sometimes I already had it from them and they asked me. So it is quite obvious that they have no idea what I'm doing, what I'm saying. And that's very good for me, because it gives me this kind of underground feeling that I can say whatever I want. Not that I would care what everyone else thinks, but I won't even upset anyone, because they don't really notice it anyways. Because who I will upset even more so are the viewers, the fanboys and so on, so the brands. So I can stay very objective in my way. I guess a lot of other people, and that really comes down to the personality of the YouTuber, would think otherwise. They think just if I am a little bit more positive, I get more views, which is absolutely the case. Believe me, I would get more likes, more shares, and I would just grow bigger. And in that way, I would make it up for it. Because the problem is, what I think I have to fear is that if I would be too critical, that I would get kicked off. Because that's what I see a lot of smaller YouTubers that just don't have these connections yet thinking. They always, and I've seen this in discussions and so on, they say, if you now say something bad about device A from brand A, they at some point won't give you anything. Personally, I don't think like that, because if it happens, it happens. But I don't see this happening here in Germany, because everyone is so objective, neutral, so professional in some way, that they just care about, maybe they don't even care about it, what I say, because I'm not an influencer anyways. I think if I would be a huge YouTuber, let's say especially here in Germany, and I would be very influencing, for example, if I would crush a device and you would notice this from the media getting picked up, and maybe people saying, oh yeah, he did something negative, we don't want to buy this phone, that would be bad press for them. That maybe would change something. But I'm usually so objective, and I've in some way not directly gotten that feedback from the brands that got a little bit some weaker reviews. They said, they didn't say that directly, but I kind of heard that throughout, that we didn't get quite a good positive review, but you stayed so objective, and we kind of have to just acknowledge those negative facts. These are just things that are there, they are fair, and that's how can you be mad at someone if he's objective? Especially, that's something that I acknowledge the brand to. If the brand can accept if you say something quite bad about it, but it is legit, then it's totally fine. Not like I did on one brand where I did a negative review and I didn't get anything, and I just didn't get any contact back from them. It's totally fine for me. That's okay. It's a little bit weird. You should at least, I think if you are someone like that who gets kind of butthurt because of a bad review, and you don't give someone or something to anyone anymore, at least have the balls to tell, hey, we didn't appreciate this review, you're cut off. But that usually never happens. Maybe because they don't want to burn any bridges if you would at some point become a big one or anything, or they don't want you to be upset and maybe rant about it. I don't care. I wouldn't rant about it. That's why I didn't really name the brand, because it doesn't really matter. Now, did I cover that? So yeah, getting back to that, I don't really get over the third point or the fourth note. For me, it's easy, because I have actually, by now, with all the sources that I have for review units, more access to devices that I could actually cover. I could have 3-4 times more that I could actually cover if I would use up all the sources. By now I have to manage them, but for everyone who doesn't have them, if he's, what is that? Is this a spider? Who's still too small, or just growing, or just doesn't have the access, maybe because there's also there are a lot of people, I guess, they are just in unfortunate countries maybe where just you don't get this kind of media support and so on. And every one of these who spends their own money and so on, super high kudos, because I don't think I would be able to do that. From the little money that I make of YouTube, I don't know how I could actually make the channel what it is today, because without all the access from the other things, I would have to make way less videos, maybe more discussion videos and so on, to kind of keep the stuff still rolling. But if you don't have much content in terms of review units, because that's still kind of my main passion to talk about, devices and what I review and so on. If I wouldn't have that, I don't know if the channel would be anywhere what it is by now. Okay, but let's finally cover that. So I've talked about it's way harder for without review units, no sponsors for me. Yeah, that's actually one thing. rebranding is needed, because I had this topic and someone said to me that I seem to have potential, but I would have to kind of change my style. Maybe rebranding is necessary and so on. And I said to him, a rebranding would make me not me anymore, and that's no option for me, because I rather grow slowly, maybe steady or maybe not so steady anymore. I keep the way doing, because the moment I would change, and I know what I have to change or what I would have to change to grow bigger, but these are things that are either not something that I can be okay with or just taking up too much time. Because if I would have to go more professional, more dedicated of a rebranding with those nice pants and styles, believe me, I'm not good in doing this because I've never learned this properly. I would spend up so much more time, and more time spending on a review leaves me less time to review devices, so it would end up in less videos. Maybe those few videos would be of better quality, but I doubt it would make enough of a difference to cover up for me, because I rather review more devices, make the typical style that I'm totally fine with, than putting so much more time in a video that won't make much more views anyway. So you kind of have to see the 80-20 rule. It's maybe sometimes good. Yeah, just look up the rule. I am always bad in explaining that. Okay, now the next thing, and I was asked this just today. How do I get review units and what can I keep? Because he asked me how can I get review devices or copies, he called it for some reason. Maybe that's a term at some places. Am I super rich or something like that? And what I told him is that 90% of all my devices are review loaners. I only usually get to keep the cheap stuff. Sometimes that was great from a few brands, the better headphones, but usually cheap headphones, maybe a cheap keyboard or gamepad or something pretty cheap, like $50 maybe or so. And that's usually stuff that isn't all that great, that I don't keep using anyways, at least not for a longer period of time, only the better stuff. Now what I also, and I will be open to say this, I get to keep, at least from what I've reviewed now, all the gearbest stuff. But that's not that I kind of get it. I get it for free in some way, but it's not like they gift it to me. The thing is that I have to upfront build up a kind of credit from my affiliate links, because the way it works is, and I've explained this a little bit, but just for the one to get that effect. I said this already a few times, I think, if I sell something for $1,000, then I can, I don't really sell, but if I put up affiliate links in my reviews and people use that link, it's similar like on Amazon, and people buy things through that, I make a little bit of commission, which is not all that much. It's like 5, 6, 7, 8%. For me, it actually looks way less, but it says 7, 8% or something like that. But the other thing is that if I sell something, or through my links something gets sold for about 1,000, then I get to buy something, or I get something from Gearbest for free for around a third of that. So if I sell something for 3,000, I could get something for 1,000. And through all the links that I've by now gotten, I have gotten all of this stuff. So I think last time he said me that I made like $6,000 in terms of revenue for them, or they sold stuff for $6,000, and I got about pretty much $2,000 in terms of stuff from them. Now the great thing here is, for me, first of all, I get to keep the devices, which actually leaves me a little bit more room to kind of stretch the review, so I don't have to rush it out. But it would be a great opportunity for me to actually sell that stuff and make way more money off that, because if I would just sell the device that I get for $5 or $10, I would already make more money like I do from the video itself on YouTube, because AdSense, at least with my low amount of views, just doesn't work out. And then I would actually make more money, but the problem is I did still not sell one single thing that I got to keep. I still have all here. I plan on doing it, and if you maybe see a review from Gearbest from me and you are interested, you could ask me, but nah, probably don't, because with international taxes and all that, it wouldn't work out. For the German viewers, or for maybe Swiss or Austrian ones, it would make sense, but not so much for that. Now, that's one part. So I have 3 main sources to get devices. Number 1, that was my very first, that's through press agencies in Germany. I usually don't have contact with the brands itself at all, but through the press agencies. So that's source number 1. This means I get devices from them, usually not that quick, because I'm not a big YouTuber, not high up on the list. And in, let's say, 50% of all the times I have to pay for the shipping back, but that's it. So this is source number 1. This was my very first one that I had for at least like 3 years exclusively, and no other access, unless maybe some few cheaper Chinese brands wanted to offer me something, like One by One did for a while. The second one, that was also the second one that turned up or turned out to be one, was Cyberport. That's still the biggest one, still the one that made the channel by now what it is in terms of the fast access and the wide diversity of devices, because I can just get pretty much whatever I want by now from them. Just today I, for example, ordered the Nokia 8 and the Huawei Nova 2 because you wanted to see the review, and you will get it. And what's the only thing that I have to do in the contract that I have to sign every time, kind of a loaner contract, because I get to keep the device for 1 month. It says the following: I get a review unit or review loaner from them, and what I have to do in order to keep that agreement intact is I have to put up the links of the device in the description down there below, and at some point mention them in one way or the other in the review. I stopped mentioning it because it felt not natural to me, and it did kind of feel out of place. So what I do is just have the banner that says the review loaner was provided by Cyberport. That's all I do. The rest, they didn't ever tell me what to say. I actually don't think they care, because with all the amount of views that my videos from their device already got, I guess it makes up for them. I guess they sell enough. I have no idea. I have no affiliate links with that. I could, and I was told this at the beginning, that I should make an affiliate account and then use those links so I can and they can track how much I actually make for them. The problem is I never made that because it's just 1%. I wouldn't really even bother about that, because maybe it actually would make up for enough, but I don't think so with just 1%. And I don't know how they track it, because maybe they see the traffic from where it's coming, because they say for them it seems to be reasonable to do it, to give me still devices, because I don't know for how many thousands of euros I already got devices from them. I must be already in the 40,000 maybe. That's just a rough estimate, because just not long ago I had like 3 or 4 laptops, everyone each at 1,400 euros and so on. So it must be a long time, since I'm doing this for about a year now already, or even longer. So how that works out for them, I don't know. I'm just happy I get the chance. And the last source of review units is, like I said, GearBest. Maybe also if some other shop comes up, because just recently Banggood asks, but they don't really have anything interesting. But GearBest has a lot of stuff, and I've already explained how I get to those. Now, the next point: more Chinese reviews, or already too many? Because I got a comment, I think yesterday, and he asked me why I am reviewing so many Chinese phones but not the international brands, the imports. And I was a little bit surprised, because I still review all the important international things. I still review pretty much every important LG, Samsung, Sony, HTC, Lenovo. I still review all of these. Also Dell, still, and that won't change, because these are the important parts. I get it in the last few weeks, maybe months, it seems a little bit more like Chinese, because also with the many Chinese phones that I have more access to also, and that I didn't say this when I said also GearBest, 2 more sources are CECT Shop and Trading Shenzhen, but that's pretty much the same as Cyberport. So I get something, can keep it without any limitation actually in that case, and I return it again. And like again, once the link and the banner, that's pretty much all I do. And especially the guy from Trading Shenzhen actually even told me that I should, if a device is bad, I should say it exactly as it is, because that also hurts his reputation. If he would lend me a device that I would give a good rating, and someone buys that based off that rating, and then he's disappointed, he would say, you sell bad devices and you get good review units, so he doesn't want to upset his users. So he rather says, don't recommend it if it's not good, and then people just don't buy shit. And I really appreciated that kind of thinking. So yeah, let me know if I do review too many Chinese stuff, because I think there is a market for that. I know that especially the US viewers here don't really seem to be interested in that at all, because I've noticed a decline in US viewers over the last few months, also due to the growth of the German ones as well. But I also see through GearBest from which country people are buying the stuff through my links, and it's pretty much 90-95% Germany. a few other countries, but inside of Europe. So US market either doesn't just use my links or just gives a damn about those import things, which I kind of get, but I also don't get. I think that everyone outside of the US is maybe a little bit more easy to get, or I mean, it's easier for him in his mind to kind of think about getting something through local or through the imports. Sometimes it costs maybe extra. I don't know. In Germany, it's not necessary anymore. That's something that doesn't really interest you so much, so I won't go into that. But maybe it just isn't worth it for them, or they are just not known to import, that they don't know that, or they just usually pay for everything with on many months, so not directly because they don't have the money, or so because most people, especially on phones, use contracts and so on, so people just don't buy up front so much. I don't know. You can actually let me know, because it's different in the US for sure than anyone else, it seems to me. Okay, the next point would be Patreon is an option for me. I'm good. What I was told in the last few videos, which I actually don't know because I've never asked about it, but when I said I don't really make much money and people tell me sometimes that why I don't use Patreon. And the thing is that I don't really need that money from Patreon in the way that I would have to get it, because I said it, the channel doesn't cost me really a lot of money. I spend some, of course, on electricity, on upgrading the gear sometimes and so on, and I make up for that in terms of YouTube revenue. And I don't really at the end make much money, because I said this already so many times that everything I make off of YouTube in some way or the other always flows back in the channel, which is kind of the thing. Now, Patreon. I've already had Patreon, if you actually maybe know that. Some of you maybe you know, like 2 or 3 years ago, I had 3 patrons. I made like $3-5 or so a month, and the problem is I wanted to make Patreon in a different way than anyone else, because what I said, you won't get any extra treatment as a patron. If you want to give me money or donate money to me for Patreon, it's just to appreciate what I'm doing, just to say thank you for the channel. But you won't get any early access to videos, because I pretty much always, once I finish a review, I put it up online. I don't really wait or so. Only if I make more than 1 or 2 videos a day then. But, wow, my brain is great again. Wait. Yeah, and you won't get any extra videos. You won't get any extra privileges. And maybe that was a thing why Patreon didn't work out for me, because people think if I do Patreon, I want some extra access or so. Or I think back then when I was quite small, I was at like 1,000 to 3,000 maybe subs. People don't give money to someone like you, because I still, at this point, it's in my growth, in my size, still don't get super chats like I see the big ones getting. Because if I see channels like 1, 2, 3, 4, 500,000 subscribers, and they make a chat, they get like a couple of hundred, if not even $1,000 a chat from there. They sometimes get 20, 30, 50, even $100 from super chats from one single person, and that sums up. So I made in my entirety maybe $10-15 from super chats. So I don't really need it, not in the way. I thought about actually doing it once again, but then I also made another video when I said Patreon is dead for me, or so. I won't do Patreon, and it's time for nothing new. I just meant that I'm good. I've tried it. It didn't work out for me, and I don't need it, and I don't want to do it. So I don't know. I'm personally just not a big fan of this Patreon extra access thing, because if someone pays me, it gives him extra privileges, which is nice for him. But for everyone else, it's kind of a slap in the face, because for me, it translates to, if you don't want to give me money, you will either have to wait longer for the content, or you will miss out on extra content, or you won't get extra access to me in terms of questions or so on. And that's just something I personally didn't like. And if I would ever do Patreon again, it's once again without any extra access for everyone. Everyone is the same. Okay, I'm at 34 minutes. Okay, poor views per video. I've already briefly talked about this. The thing is just that my issue is that I get a lot of views, but not a lot of views per video. Because I said this already. I get like 1.2 million. Okay, not always. Let's say 1 million steady, quite a lot by now, views per month. And that actually, I don't know if it's really good for big YouTubers, of course not. But if I see certain channels that are at 1 or maybe even 200,000 or somewhere in between, a little bit bigger even, who make tech videos, maybe not on a frequent basis I do, but they make like 700,000, also just maybe 1 million views. I think it shows, because it shows that I'm actually not that bad as a whole, if you just see the views per month. And then I can actually keep up with channels that are way bigger than me. But some of those just release maybe 10 videos a month, where I release 50 or 40, so 40 or 50. And that just shows that per video I don't make a lot of views, because I would say, I don't know my average. I think somewhere I saw a statistic that said that I make 2,000 videos views per video on average, but this maybe sounds not all that bad, but it is, because I also have a few, because actually this is one weird thing I've noticed. I have one video or two videos at around 400,000, which are my two best videos, but the one with 401, actually the 1+5 first impressions video on the German version, got like $10 because it wasn't monetized, because it was embedded. Now the other thing is that I only have maybe like 10 videos, maybe 12, maybe 15 at best videos over 100,000 views. The rest, I would say my average, for me it seems like it's between 1, maybe 3,000, somewhere in between that, of course depending if it's German or if it's English. The slightly better ones, the ones that I say are okay, are around 10, 20, and the actual better ones for me, what I see as to be better, are at 30, 40, some a little bit higher than that. But if I get 30, 40,000 on one video, that's actually already really good. But I've noticed recently that actually even the videos that usually from brands got a lot of views, like for example Sony devices, always where a bank for a good amount of views just gets 10, 20, and that's a little bit weird. Now, this could also come to the next point, device diversity, good or bad, because what I've noticed, and I think you can all agree with me, that my channel, for just a single YouTubers, just a single person channel, is actually more diverse than many bigger channels, or at least many other one person channels, because what I review is smartphones, tablets, I review laptops, I review a little bit sometimes PC stuff like keyboards, also but headsets, headphones, and if anything else maybe comes up. So that's not a whole lot as a big grand scale, but the thing is also, and that could actually have something to do with my poor views per video compared to my 50,000 subscribers that I have. The problem is that not all of these 50,000 are interested in one thing, because that's the benefit that, for example, only smartphone channel has, because only smartphone channel who pretty much does only smartphone videos, he only has subscribers that are interested in smartphone videos. But what I have is, that's the issue for me. I have people that are interested in the smartphone videos. They watch these reviews. But I also have people that are interested in the laptop videos. Some are just interested in the headphones. Some just in the, not that many, keyboard reviews or anything else. So I have people have maybe like 1 or 2 people, sorts of people who watch stuff, and I have like 6 or 7. And the problem is, on any device that I make, for example, if I make 5 videos of, for example, now laptops, smartphones, tablets, and so on, and the 6, only just about the 6th one is a headphone review, and only every 6 video will get watched by those few people that watch headphone reviews. And I just know that still the one type of video that gets the most views, of course, is about smartphones. The next thing would be maybe tablets and laptops. Then further, noticeably further behind, are things like keyboards, headphones, headsets, and all that. So that's my issue. But let me actually know, do you appreciate the diversity? Because the diversity is from my side because I'm interested in all of these things. I wouldn't do the reviews if I wouldn't be interested, because I already got asked if I want to do maybe smartwatch reviews or drones or these kind of things. I'm not interested in that, and that's why I couldn't properly make good reviews off of that, and that's why I just don't do it. But everything I do is because of my own interest. Now I know that I may be more interested in a lot more things than some specific viewers. Yeah, so let me just know, and not that I will change anything, but would you, depending on what kind of category you prefer, making me more of this, or do you like the diversity just so you also, for example, if you watch usually just mostly laptops and also maybe smartphones, but then sometimes you get, for example, a headphone review. Is that something that you think, oh, that's actually nice because I usually watch this for this, but it's always nice to see something different. Just so I know. Okay, the video is about 40 minutes. That is already actually quite a good length for a podcast, I would say, which leads me back to my first thing. Do you want it with or without? And I see my cam is spasming up, so it was actually fine for the whole video. So I guess that's a good sign to break it off. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely still did, because actually this was quite a nice flow. I jumped a lot of through all my notes that I had, but it also comes due to the reason that all of these topics kind of were related one to each other, and I didn't really talk a lot about tech, like I said, and that's why you can also let me know if I should split up tech talk and behind the scenes talk or my own thoughts talk. But the most important part is if you've enjoyed it, and if you did, maybe a thumbs up would be nice. And if you dislike it, please at least let me know why. Please, that would be nice.